jumper
Oh, my favorite
was
shot.
unstoppable.
My favorite shot.
You rode this one all the way to Springfield and to the Hall of Fame. Why do you think that shot was so effective for you?
The reason why it was so effective, I was a very analytical player. 80% of what I did on the court was thought out. And if you look at the baseline, the defense can't come from off the court. So the only defender you have to worry about is the defender that's defending you or the guard that's trying to drop back and help because my teammate passed the ball into me, or the weak side player trying to rotate over. And I always made sure I took my shots with no more than 2 dribbles. And so I love the baseline because I can go up, and most people didn't realize it. I would go up facing the baseline and then turn in midair. And as the defense is shifting laterally, they have to bend their knees to jump. And by the time they get to the height of their jump, the ball is released. And so they used to call me Baseline King.
It's almost like a physics lesson listening to how you just broke that down. I want to get your thoughts on a couple other players whose offensive moves really came to define them.
Sure.
One of them is Hakeem Olajuwon with the Dream Shake.
You know, it's interesting because I loved watching him play. And one of the things that I did, you're taught to pivot on your toe when you spin. Okay, now take your fingers and just do that with the palm of your hand. You feel that friction? Now take now you feel how loose that is?
It is.
Now that represents your heel. And when I spun on my heel as opposed to my toe. And so when you talk about Hakeem Olajuwon, he's the only player I've ever seen that pivots on his heel as I did. And so consequently, it made him much quicker. And he comes from a soccer background. So he had that fluidity in his game from soccer as well.
Can I get your thoughts on Allen Iverson's crossover? That thing was
killer.
Wicked. I don't know if we'll ever
killer.
see a better one.
No.
What did you see when you watched Allen Iverson?
One of the things that he did, he would make sure that he drove at you very hard, and that would force you to either come up or go back. And if you came up, that's when he crossed over before he actually met your contact. And he was just the best player I've ever seen with a crossover dribble. If I tried that, I would wind up on the floor.
A few more for you. The Kareem skyhook. What did you see when you watched Kareem?
Well, when he was back at UCLA, when he entered UCLA as coming out of New York City, there was no dunking. He wasn't permitted to dunk the basketball. And Wooden worked with him on developing the skyhook as a tremendous offensive force. And it became a weapon that you could not stop. And, you know, he made a career out of that shot. And you don't see big men practicing that, but he was such a dominant player. I loved watching that skyhook. It was impossible. I played against it, but I would watch it on TV. But you couldn't defend it.
Last one for you, George Gervin. For people who maybe didn't get to see the finger roll in action, how is this so devastating?
George Finger Roll Gervin, one of my favorite players of all time to watch. And George was 6'7" at the time. You didn't have Magic Johnson in the league when he was in the early part of his career. And he developed that shot going across the lane. And whether you were a big man or a smaller guard, he loved the smaller guards. And we were playing against San Antonio once when I was with New York Knicks. And my teammate was trying to defend him, Rory Sparrow. And he finger rolled right over the top of his head. And he said, "Son, you can't touch that."